This is Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick. Thanks to NRMA Insurance and Uniden.
Great to have your company. Thanks for listening. NRMA Insurance, a help company, helping Australians protect what matters most for almost 100 years. NRMA Insurance, one of Australia's largest insurers of electric vehicles. And, of course, the great people at Uniden.
Yes.
Uniden Smart Dash Cams. Get yourself a dash cam. Look, my advice is always, especially if you look at the Uniden range, very easy to tell. The ones with the R in the product name
rear.
Also has a rear camera, which means...
That's important. There's a high percentage of rear enders.
We've been banging on about it for months.
But it's most accidents, like apparently like 70% of accidents are rear enders. So,
and breaking news, it's their fault, but you've still got to have evidence.
You've got to prove it. If they argue the toss, you've got proof.
It's a great thing just to have in your corner.
Absolutely,
just a little bit of something in your corner as you go along. It doesn't matter whether you've got an EV or you want to put it in your petrol car. Doesn't matter. Also, for the kids, if you've got kids on P plates and things, get a dash cam for their own safety.
It also
and protection
records
as well.
audio too, which we've discovered.
Yes, that's true. They're our great sponsors, and we appreciate their support. A couple of great calls coming up on the show today. As always, if you want to be part of the show, we'd love to hear from you. You can send us a text on 0477 657 657. We'd love to have you as part of the show wherever you are in your EV journey. But Stephen, something we've talked about a little bit, and it started to creep up a lot more, is the secondhand market.
Yes.
We talked to Ross from Amazing EV a good early part, like probably a year ago now.
Yep.
Setting up a website for selling secondhand EVs exclusively. But we talked to Ross about it, and we've talked about it a few times with people who've bought secondhand or sold secondhand about battery health.
Yeah.
And I got a fascinating note from the people at Pickles, and they've published their latest quarterly automotive report. And that talks about battery health. So I thought, well, hang on a minute. Let's get the General Manager of Automotive Solutions at Pickles on the line. That is Brendon Green, and he joins us now. G'day, Brendon.
G'day, guys.
Mate, thanks very much for joining us. I was initially drawn to this purely because of the two words battery health. Mate, we have been banging on about this as being a really critical part of the next phase of the EV revolution, if you want to put it that way, because, how do you know if the owner of the car has been doing good things or bad things with the battery? You've obviously seen a lot of cars come through. What are you discovering about the battery health of EVs in the secondhand market?
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pretty hot topic for some time. So we, back in 2023, engaged a third party that could help us to understand what battery degradation looked like, or the health of the battery, I guess. And since then, we've tested about 250 vehicles, and we've started to get some really good intelligence around it. Obviously, the battery health of a used vehicle, or even if you're choosing an EV for the first time, you want to understand what that's going to look like. We're really starting to see some good intel come through. Even cars with 120,000 kilometres on it have still got a health score of 90% or more, and 4 years plus cars with just over 93%. So some really good early data to tell us that these batteries look like they are healthy, and there's really nothing to worry about.
I suppose you need to not only, if someone's coming into the EV market for the first time, they want to get an EV, they're looking at the second-hand market. So it's kind of you need to sort of have the battery health there visible, but you also, I think it's a bit of an education process, isn't it, too, for the potential buyer to know exactly what all these percentages mean. Is that something else you're looking at as well?
Yeah, absolutely. At the moment, we're just keeping the data to ourselves, and we will share it in due course. We're just wanting to make sure that the data we're gathering is accurate, get some really good insights before we start to share it on cars. People will probably make a judgment call based on these percentages. So we just want to make sure that it's all the right data to begin with. So it's been great. We get a lot of cars from the governments, from major fleets, major corporations, not-for-profits. So we're seeing way more used electric vehicles than any other marketplace across Australia that, in the auction game. So got some really healthy data and really healthy vehicles right across Australia. It's across the programs across all of our major capital cities. So quite expansive.
With respect to the drivers of those fleet vehicles in government, they probably don't care about the cars, not quite as badly as rental car drivers do. But like I think about Stephen and I, we both own our cars. I think about charging my car a certain way and da-da-da-da-da. I don't know, if I'm driving a government-owned car, I'm probably not caring too much about it. So even I would argue that that's a very good sign for the future of the privately owned vehicles. Is that a wrong thing to assert, or do you feel a bit of a vibe there as well, Brendon?
I think there'd be a mix, right? I mean, there's people have had company cars over the years, and some people treat them well, some people don't treat them well. Some are a pooled car, so they're in a pooled environment, so it's multiple drivers. Yep. Some go back personally to be charged in a garage from the driver. So it's probably quite a broad mix that we would see across Australia. In the main, we've always seen good government assets and fleet assets as being better quality assets than, say, repossessed assets that, may not have been serviced on the way through and the like. The vast majority of these cars are still coming back with, manufacturer warranty left on them. They might only have 25,000 kilometres on the clock and be 3 years old, so they've still got manufacturer warranty. So if there is an issue, you can still go back to the manufacturer anyway. Yep. So I think, with the 8-year battery warranty that most OEMs are providing is obviously a significant thing if you're buying a used electric vehicle.
There's been many opinions on the second-hand EV market and even the new EV market, but in terms of the second-hand market, like, is it healthy? Are people does your vehicle just drastically devalue after one owner, or how are you seeing the market at the moment?
Yeah, so we have seen some downward pressure on used EV prices, no question. They went absolutely nuts during COVID, like every used vehicle did. They were actually the highest category of vehicle, highest price category of vehicle in terms of growth over that. That was really just due to supply issues. Obviously, now there's a reasonable amount of supply in that EV space from a new perspective. Yeah. We've also had new entrants come through with, lower priced assets that are coming out of China and the like. That's put downwards pressure on the used EV prices. And then we've obviously had the repricing of many of the more mainstay EV manufacturers as well. So there's been a lot of that has been repriced. All of that has put downward pressure on EV prices. So we saw in 2024 a fairly large reduction in price. Prices are actually back to sort of what level to where they were pre-COVID, but we've still got ICE vehicles actually with a 20% premium on the flip side. So, and of that, hybrid are actually the most expensive of all that. Hybrid have actually maintained the highest return. So, those that are trying to be a bit green, but not as green as maybe an EV driver, I suppose. So, really interesting to see all these different categories play out over the past few years. But now that supply has sorted itself out in the main new car space, we're starting to think that 2025 will be back to a normal used car market with seasonality and all those sort of things that we see, dips during winter, inflation over the summer months, and we just saw that come through.
Just thinking about the EVs specifically, and you would have tested, I think you say in your report, over 250 EVs in terms of looking at the battery health. Is there any delineation between brands? You talk about the OEMs. I mean, I would think that there's this mentality around Tesla being great, which is the way people feel about the cars themselves. Have you noticed anything brand to brand with regards to the batteries?
Yeah, good question. We haven't been able to test all the brands. So if you think about all the brands that are released here in Australia, potentially not the Zeekr's and some of the really fresh new entrants to Australia, but Nissan, Hyundai, Kia, Tesla, everybody's sort of we've got scores on everybody. The Hyundai actually scored the best out of all of them. And when I say that, their products are usually lower in age and lower in kilometres when they're coming to us at the moment, because they're probably not as mature as, say, the Model 3. Yep. So they're actually slightly ahead of Tesla by a couple of percentage points. We're not talking miles, right? So there are some little differences there.
They'll take the win, though.
100%, but it's, we're talking, 1 or 2%.
What about something like BYD? People think about this Chinese company and these Chinese cars, but they've got a very specific style of battery as well. They have a battery that doesn't need to be charged to 80%. It can go to 100. So is there any insight on the battery health of a brand like BYD?
It appears to be pretty good initial. We're only seeing, our average kilometres is, like around the 12,000 mark and months of 17 months. So it's not really fair comparing that to, say, a more mature market of Tesla and Hyundai, etc. So, and it's starting to look good from what we can see.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do cars get sent to auction so early? Is it because fleets don't need as many cars, or no? But they seem to. I started seeing BYDs, for example, very early on, and is it because some fleets test them out and see how they go and before they do a full commitment, or is it just the way of the world that some cars go to auction much earlier in their life?
It really depends on the fleet policy that many of our customers have adopted, or how the fleet companies are working with their major corporates and the like. Sometimes it's based on a kilometre, if it hits a kilometre limit. Sometimes it's based on a lease period. We do get a few through from different rental car companies as well. So it can be a bit of a mix as to what comes through. But I think the majority of the EVs that have been the early adopters have tended to run them on a shorter lease term than they might ordinarily a 3 or 4 year lease, and they're probably just looking to turn them over between 2 and 3 rather than 3, 4, 5 that you might see. So commercials are often on a 5 year, passenger
That's
more
what
3 to 4.
Yeah.
I think the EVs are being turned over a little, and there's definitely lower odometers on average coming through on the EVs than the traditional that we've seen in the normal fleet space.
So, Brendon, is it a good time to buy a second-hand EV now? There's some good value out there?
Oh, absolutely. I think the market's probably dropped $10,000 to $15,000 in the last couple of years from what it was in terms of that EV space. We've got EVs that from $25,000, $35,000, $45,000 and 50. In the 50s, just depending on the make, the model, the brand, all those sort of things, the spec, the long range, there's everything out there. So, but you can jump onto our Pickles website, and we've got a specific page there on electrics and hybrids these days. There's always 30 odd, 40 odd that are going to auction every single week now. So that was ones and twos initially, and now it's just growing. We've sold 3 times the amount of EVs, used EVs in 2024 as we did to 2023. So, and we just expect that to keep growing, even though the new EV market's probably cooled a little bit in the last quarter or so. We're still seeing a lot of that. Because the fleet policies have been in place and they were early adopters, we're still seeing a lot of new cars come through because they're maturing in their fleet cycle, and then they're coming through to us to be sold. So I think we've got 3 times most of our competitors, and that's because of some of the big contracts we've got with the likes of Victorian government, South Australian government, WA government, those, and then the big fleet companies as well. We've got really good market share in the government, the fleet space, and that's really helping us to get a lot of good quality cars through.
And we talk about these fleet cars and everything, but just to be clear, an average individual can go to Pickles and bid on an electric car. That's actually, you're seeing a higher number of electric cars going to individuals than you do with the traditional ICE cars.
Yeah, really good early signs that there's a strong used EV market directly with mums and dads and or little business owners. So we're seeing around over 50% of those cars are being sold direct to mum and dad. I think the used EV segment for us, the buyers are more educated than we would see in a typical ICE buyer that might be a mum or dad who is buying a Corolla for the 3rd time, for instance. Right. That they've done a lot of research. They've probably test-driven them. They see a Model 3 Tesla, it's got the right cage, right color combination, and they're on the web buying. And they can't, they can see damage descriptions and the like and the condition, but they're not physical auctions we're running anymore. So it's all bought online. Really savvy buyers and really well educated. So I talked about 50% of those are being sold to mums and dads. On the flip side, our ICE buyers that are mums and dads, it's about 25%. Yeah. So there's probably more dealers in that ICE space that are more comfortable with the traditional buying ICE vehicles to sell through their dealers because they've done that forever and a day. Yep. So there's some dealers that are still getting comfortable with buying and selling used EVs. It's fairly new for some of them. So, but that early signs are that mums and dads are really keen to buy used EVs, and they're lapping them up.
And of course, with the battery health information now, there's just another data point for them to make a decision on a car.
When do you think you'll make that public? Now that you say you're just testing it, when do you think you might add that to an auction listing?
Yeah, hoping towards the end of this year, once we've got enough data under the belt and the like, and we've got to make it readable and understandable and digestible for someone to make a decision upon it. There's some really intelligent information in some of the battery management systems, how the battery's charged, and all of those sort of things. We just want to make sure we're able to provide the right information to buyers to help them discern, probably what they should bid on an asset. After all, it's buying a car is, behind your house, it's the second largest asset many people buy, right? So we just want to, that's our place, is to make, life comfortable, life easy for the buyers, and also to maximise returns for the sellers at the same time. We're in between, trying to keep everybody happy.
Fascinating data, mate. Really appreciate you sharing that with us and the insights, mate. Look forward to talking again in the future, because it sounds like you got your finger on the pulse.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it, Brendon. Thanks very much. Brendon Green from Pickles. He's the General Manager of Automotive Solutions out of Pickles. And battery health exists on your iPhone. You can look at your smartphone and see battery health. So
it's something we're fluent in, because people are used to, they've got something in their hand every day that has battery health.
It sounds like they could be potentially leaders in publishing this information. We talked about it.
Or the methodology too. So they haven't discussed the secret sauce, but I think, do you remember months ago when we spoke to the RMA about there needs to be this standardised battery health thing, this figure that is applied across the board.
When you go to a car sales website or Amazing EV, the things you see are how old is the car, is it registered, how many Ks are on the clock. With EVs, we believe, I think we're pretty clear on this, we believe that we should get very quickly to a point where that information includes a percentage battery health. Just a single number. Is it 80%, 90%, 96%? So that you can go, here's a car with 120,000 Ks with 92% battery health. Here's a car with 40,000 Ks with 94% battery health. And you go, you know what? I'm just going to get the one with 120 because it's going to be slightly cheaper. And there's so little difference in the battery health.
Absolutely right, yeah. And from what Pickles said, they're surprisingly good battery health. These cars are still.
I didn't ask him. I wonder if they're digging into how that affects range. But see, it's very hard to display range because the car shows you what it thinks is the range based on recent driving, not based on the battery health. So it'd be fascinating to know whether that's something you can also predict based on battery health.
Something else to put in the ballpark there. We need to have that information.
If you've got any experience selling an EV, buying an EV, or understanding battery health, or trying to buy an EV and wondering if you don't know enough about the battery health, then get in touch, 0477 657 657. Dancing
stiff
with my
neck?
head.
Have you got a stiff neck?
No, I was just didn't want to
moving your head.
Just didn't want to move a whole body.
Okay, there you go.
I'm just glad Brendon from Pickles didn't experience that. It wasn't in person, wasn't video. He didn't have to see me do that.
Exactly.
Anyway, but our next caller, Glen, had to experience us gibbering about it. 0477 657 657. If you're in the market for an EV or you've got one and you want to brag about it, we're happy to hear about it. We want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we want to help you out as best we can. Glen's on the line. G'day, Glen.
G'day, fellas. How are you going?
Mate, do you listen to the podcast or watch it?
I listen to it, yes. Yeah, listen to it while I'm travelling around this lovely state of ours.
You are spared the disgraceful dancing then. That's all good. So, mate, are you driving an EV or are you in the market? What's your situation?
Actually in the market, I think. Yeah, no, I've got a RAV4 Hybrid at the moment, and through work we've got they are a great car. We've got a hybrid or EV policy, and sort of leaning more towards the EV. And I'm just sort of new to it all. Been listening for a while, and just sort of after advice on what could possibly suit me, sort of something in comparison with the RAV4, and it's just listening to the past couple of weeks, just the sort of the charging issues some people have had and all that. That's on my mind. Like a sales rep and do travel the state of New South Wales, just all those sort of
so you do some miles,
and all that.
Yeah. I'm curious.
Do some miles,
Before we talk about the car, you just mentioned your work has a policy of hybrid or electric. So does that mean,
yes.
I mean, is it a big organisation? Because that's a pretty big deal, right?
We're only a small organisation. We do, take the environment seriously and all that. And we've had it in place for a while. And, the hybrid's been great, going from a petrol to a hybrid, like halved our fuel bills and all that. And
so it's a good incentive, It's an incentive for you to go in that direction. You're already driving a hybrid, as you said. So your full EV, have you had any ideas on what you might do? Have you test-driven any vehicles yet?
Nah, just completely new. I'm thinking, I don't know, size-wise and all that. I'm thinking Trevor's favourite car, that's the white Toad, could be on the cards.
So the Model Y. That's a consideration. Okay.
Yeah,
I think from a RAV,
EV5 possibly.
Mate, you have literally, you're a great listener because I think you've attuned to exactly where that car sits. The RAV4, let's think about it. It's a small SUV, medium size these days. It's a bit bigger than it used to be back in the day. And so with a RAV4, you get a little bit of boot capacity. You put the seats down, that kind of stuff. I think you're absolutely spot on, mate. The EV5 from Kia and the Model Y, I think they're probably going to be the two best-selling EVs in Australia this year. I mean, no, that's wrong in that sector, in the SUV sector, because probably BYD and MG will sell more than Kia. Tesla, by the way, are no longer publishing their sales data because they got the irrits with the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries. But mate, I think what would sway you one way or another, or what are the components you need from that car to make it suit your style and your job?
I suppose it's got all comfort and space. And another thing, also, there's the odd occasion where I tow a trailer as well, so it's got to have the towing capacity.
Okay.
Just for different events we do. And
what
then I'm aware that
what are you towing?
It's just a box trailer with a barbecue and that in the back. But there's a few different options I've got. Just a standard box trailer, or we've got a purpose-built box trailer with, so I'd be looking at just under the 1.5 ton capacity, or the standard, or just your standard trailer, and aware that all no different to the RAV towing a trailer.
Well, the EV, we've each separated out here for you. The EV5 apparently has a rated towing capacity up to 1,250 kilos.
And
that could work.
And the Model Y has towing capacity up to 1,600 kilos.
Oh, that's even better, yes. Yeah.
Oh, you've just been swayed, isn't that? Mate, that is like if all the car websites could have verbal reactions from people reading their reviews. That was what that just was just then. You just literally went, I think I'm in the Model Y camp there. But I would argue the Kia is probably a nicer car on the inside. It's a more traditional car, so more like your RAV4, whereas the Model Y is a vastly different minimalist
very
experience.
Sparse spaceship sort of type setup there, so it depends on what you've done. Have you been in a Tesla before? Have you driven one or
no,
seen it?
I have. I have. Been picked up as an Uber passenger, and just getting just the infotainment and all your gear is in the middle of the car. Just getting used to that would be difficult. Not having the instrument cluster directly in front of you. That'd be something to get over.
You mentioned too you do a bit of driving. Sorry, you do a bit of driving. Is that your concern about the range, or is that something you need to look at?
Just getting used to. I suppose the range and and just I suppose it's getting used to looking at the centre of the car for how fast you're travelling and all that. But I think it's just the charging. I think it'd be more. It sort of comes down to time management. Like I'm travelling down to here.
Absolutely nailed it. Time management, it shouldn't be a part of your life when you're driving from one place to another, but it is as an EV driver currently. And I think, do you seemingly do the same trips? Is there 5 trips you do across different places, or is it completely random where you go?
It's completely random. That's the thing. I know. Listening to you the other week, you said you had issues travelling down south and all that. Just with the various networks, sometimes I'll say there's there's networks. 5 in action, but there's none there, and it's a tricky one,
mate. The thing is, in almost all circumstances on major highways, there's an option. There's several options. And I think it's just about understanding which options you want to try versus just take. So as I've said many times, for example, as Tesla opens up their network more and more, I will simply go, you know what, I've scored here. I've charged my car for free at home for many, many months. I don't mind paying a premium for this trip, right? Whereas if I was doing it regularly like you and, trying to make sure the business gets the best benefit from that trip, you might try and not use a Tesla because it's, 20 cents a kilowatt more. But knowing that other option exists means that if you pull up or you look at the app, because I still think that, as you sit down, you're about to leave a client or whatever it is you do, and you look at the app and you go, it looks like everything's under control. And it's really just about learning what you look at. And funnily enough for me, I now resort more to PlugShare, which is an independent and not a great app, like visually. It's not been designed well, but it works so well, and there's enough people on it that are there to give you the information you need. So if I'm driving to Gundagai, I'm just going to check the Gunda Guy plug share and go, has anyone charged there today successfully?
So you know it's working, yeah.
Because that's the best heads up, that someone who's at the the premium tier of EV users, because they're logging into PlugShare and saying, I just charged.
Well, that's sort of a community service, you're
it
telling
is.
other drivers.
That's exactly what it is.
But that's one thing you'll discover, that when you get in an EV and you got your trips, it just takes a little bit of planning. You just look at PlugShare and other apps and how far on average would you be driving? Is it a long drive?
Yeah,
what's your average
Yeah,
trip?
that's the thing. It all varies. Like, some trips it could be a 7-hour drive to get to a destination ready to go the next day. And I suppose but then in saying that, you got the time to, fill up on the way, so to speak, and, do a bit of admin work in the car while you're waiting and all those types of things. And it's just, I suppose after a while, it just becomes water off a duck's back. No different to, pulling into a service station, filling up. You just make some adjustments.
I'm sure you're up with, if you're listening to us on this show, you know that charging, the myth of charging on the road is you're not doing it for hours at a time. You're charging for up to half an hour, 20 minutes can get you on your way. So it's
I'll give you an example. And this is not related to you, but my wife texted me this morning, goes, oh, no, I'm at Hornsby and the car needs a charge. Where do I go? I don't think my wife's been to a public charger, okay? And because we just charge at home. She just always charges at home. And I said, babe, it's got 90%. That's heaps. I'll charge it tomorrow. There's no drama because it's overcast right now, okay? Yeah. She went, no, I've got nothing on today. I've got a few things to do, so I on my phone and stuff, I'll go. Now, she plugged in at 19% with the Kia and charged 60%, so got it to 80%, and it was a 32-minute charge. And I thought to myself, that's
fast.
Like that's not bad. That was just at an amp hole, right? Yeah. And see, that's the thing. If she went to 90%, it would have been a 40-minute charge. Or if she'd gone to 100, it would have been an hour, because it's that last 20% that matters. And Stephen's right. You're not stopping for hours. Yeah. You might drive and go, I need a pee break and a hamburger. That's going to take you 15, 20 minutes. And if you charge during that time, you've probably topped up 30 or 40 extra % and on you go. So it's just about rethinking it, mate. I genuinely think that as long as you're committed to understanding the challenges or the changes that exist in your way of maintaining the car, then it's completely possible to own a car regionally. I do not encourage it for people that are at all worried about charging, because I'm able to do it because I get it. And Glenn, I think you get it, mate. So I think you'll be great.
I get it and all that. The only other concern, what about the home front? Like, I haven't got solar or anything at home. And how does that side of things?
Solar's great, but even if you don't have it, a lot of electricity companies have EV plans where you can charge, you charge between midnight and 6 a.m. or something for like $1 a day or something. A lot of them have that that feature in a lot of their plans. But you know what? You can also you hear us talking about the granny charger.
So
the
granny charger.
The cable that comes with the car. So you plug it into the car and you plug it into a power point at home. That'll give you, that's obviously an overnight thing. That could potentially top up what you used, the day before if it was a short drive. But it can give you that little bit of extra power to just get you through the day. If you don't have a long trip planned, it may be enough to handle your next couple of days worth of driving.
And Glenn, the other part of that is, in terms of cost, you talked about you're reducing costs for your company and whatever. Again, real world example, Amanda just charged the Kia. It costs $46 to get 60% of the battery filled. That would have been $80 in a car that size, a petrol car. Yep. It was 69 cents per kilowatt hour. That's a lot of money.
That's because it's fast.
But at home, you're probably paying 27 to 32 cents per kilowatt hour. So
it just takes longer.
It's cheap. It's cheaper to charge at home anyway. It just takes longer. And as Stephen said, mate, just trickle charge, granny charge overnight like you do your smartphone. Your real question is, how do you deal with that for your business, for a business car? Yeah. Is there a way of monitoring that or logging that so that you get that reimbursed or whatever? But that's just the only conversation I think you need to have is, if you charge privately, i.e. at home, how does the business cope with that? But, mate, otherwise, you're good to go.
Or tell the business to put in a charger as well. If there's a charger at the business, use that one.
Yeah, we're looking at all that at the moment, sort of putting some chargers in the offices and all that kind of stuff. And it's sort of like, it's just all new, and it's the sort of way everyone tends to be going these days, trying to reduce their costs.
I can't wait to hear what you do. And
Yeah.
it sounds like you'll be the pioneer of the EV side of things, pushing up from hybrid in the business, so you can lead the way and teach everyone else.
No, thanks for that. Like, we've even noticed, like, the hybrid, like, halving our fuel bill, and then you just sort of, going even further. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
No,
Good on
stuff.
you, Glenn,
No,
mate.
really
Thank you for
appreciate
getting
that.
in touch, and keep in touch, mate. Keep in touch.
Yeah, let us know how you
Will
go,
do.
mate. Let us know what you decide on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, keep up the good work. Love it, fellas. Love
Thanks,
it.
mate.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Glenn.
Thanks for getting in
Thank
touch.
you. Okay.
That's Glenn, RAV4 owner, looking to go fully EV. And I think he's ready.
That was a good example of how you can find stuff out, bounced off some ideas. Yeah, we gave him a good overview of the whole situation.
He'll also be the pioneer for his business too. Other people will find out.
It's good that, and I'm sure that's not the only business offering those incentives to go
of course.
that way. So, you know what? There's going to be more people doing exactly what Glenn's done.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. If you want to get in touch, do it right now. 0477 657 657. Send us a text. We'll see if we can get you on the show.
Playing the bongos.
No, the bongos are good. Welcome, Stephen. 0477 657 657. If you want to be on the show like Glenn was, and Nick's on the line right now. G'day, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you guys?
Mate, really good. You're an EV owner, and
Yeah.
I
Have been for a while too, haven't you? How long you had your EV for, and what EV do you have?
We bought it 2 years ago, the Tesla long range Model 3.
Model 3, nice.
And I think you might have got in touch in response to my, I don't want to say rant, but it was a rant. My conversation several weeks ago about ChargeFox. I mean, you've done some long drives, I'm guessing. What are your thoughts on the world of charging as an EV owner for some time now?
Yeah, when you were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, I was nodding away quite a lot. So we before we installed the Tesla wall charger at home, the 7 kilowatt thing, we were relying on Jolt around our local area.
Okay.
But that was okay, and that was actually quite good 2 years ago. But now they're always full. Well, we don't care anymore.
Yeah.
That yet.
You got the home charger. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And thanks to you guys, I discovered the 8-cent plan, so I don't even worry about Jolt anymore. So I can charge the car for a couple of bucks. I don't really care.
Yeah,
But,
right. So which plan are you on, did you say?
Yep.
The Origin 8-cent. So the Origin one, they control your car. You have to give permission.
That's the Tesla only one, isn't it? It's the Tesla only one.
only.
Yeah, I know it.
Yep. It works quite well, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But anyway, So we have some family in Newcastle.
Okay.
So we would go off, and we would go, maybe every few months to Newcastle.
Okay.
But I remember a couple of years ago, we would use the NRMA charger. There used to be an NRMA charger in Wallsend, and that was pretty good. I think it was a 50 kilowatt or 75 kilowatt. I can't remember exactly. But and that used to be free back then, and that was okay. I did find at the time that other cars that went on Teslas were having issues with it. I did see an MG turn up and walk away, drive off, and that sort of thing. But that's okay. And then I discovered this a charge. I think it was ChargeFox back then. It was a 350 kilowatt charger for free.
What?
The cable is so. Yeah. It was thick and heavy. It was
That's a sign that it's a fast charger.
Yeah, it's a very good point. The thicker the cable, the faster the charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can really feel it. If you're a frail old person, you'd struggle. But that worked well. I charged the car there for free, took it to 100%, so I can come back home. I didn't even need that much, but anyway. But recently, that got converted to 50 kilowatt, I think.
Oh,
downgraded.
Yep. So something happened. I don't know if it was a council thing or
is it still
maybe
free?
It has to do with the NRMA merger. No. It's
so they've lowered the capacity, the charge speed, and now charging you for it.
Whereabouts is it, mate?
Yeah. It's called something Oval Number 2. It's in Cooks.
Number 2 Sports Ground in Newcastle.
That's the one. Yep. Yep.
I'm looking at it on Plug Share right now.
Yeah, there's about 4 4 or 5 different, but 2 of them were the fast ones, and the other ones were the slow. I think you have to bring your own cable. I'm not sure. The other one, I don't have a cable, my own cable. But so a couple of months ago, we were there. My wife tried to go and plug it in. It wouldn't work. She gave up. Then I went the next day. Someone was there. Then they left. Oh, it's free now. I plugged it in. Didn't work. Plugged in the next one. It worked. So I just sat there and waited. And crossed my fingers that it would actually work and give me some charge. A lady turns up and she plugs her in. I told her it doesn't work. She goes, I can just call them. They can reset it. Oh, really?
Oh.
Just, do you mind? I said, okay, I'll stay here and wait. So she resets it. Then it took mine offline and hers was
reset
charging.
yours too, right?
Oh, my God.
And so,
so
how long did that process take then? Was just a phone call?
It was pretty quick.
Yeah,
a phone call, yeah. She got pushed through pretty quick. It only took about a minute in total.
I
a
did
minute
not
or
know
two.
you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, neither did I. And then she called again when mine went down.
Sorry, did she charge? Did she call the network operator or the owner?
There was obviously a number on there.
The charge fox number. Who is it? I don't know.
She called Charge Fox. Okay.
Correct.
So they did help out. See, if you had called them, mate, maybe you could have got some help too.
Oh, Jesus.
Mate, wow. Okay, so how long did that process take, Nick?
It was only about a minute or two, but then it threw mine offline. So she called again, and then mine came back online. So we worked out, okay, you can only charge one at a time.
Right.
She had kids there. She wasn't in a hurry. She was going to go to the shops, and I offered, look, when I'm finished, I can call you and plug your car in if you want to leave it there.
Oh, wow.
When I leave.
That's generous.
So she goes, yeah, okay. She gave me her number, and then what happened was we were just chatting away about, and then she was telling, I explained to her there's I did show on the map about the BP ones. I never used the BP ones, but I know they're growing a bit, and I know that EV are pretty good too. So I got the charge I needed, and I just gave it to her, and then I left.
It's great to educate other people like that, mate. That's I think that's really good of you. I'm a social recluse, so I don't like talking to other people, but I have had a couple of times where I've explained to someone there's only one here because of this reason, and I know where another one is or something. Yeah. Especially out on the road because. Yeah. Look, the fact is not everyone knows about all the different companies. Not everyone knows about all the apps. Not everyone knows. Not every car also has an up-to-date database of locations. So
yes,
you're a good community citizen there, mate.
Nick, you also mentioned earlier
I tried.
You used to rely on the Jolt chargers near you.
Yeah.
Did you know you can reserve those? Did you know you can book them?
Yes. Yeah. I did. I used to reserve it, and there was one time there was one reserved there, and I thought, well, you know what? Because my wife was sitting at one. My wife went to plug one in, and it was reserved. And she called me and said, "Oh, it's reserved." I said, "Just stay there. Don't worry. Walk away from the car. After 5 minutes, it expires."
Ah,
and then
really?
You just take it.
So if you plug in and someone's booked it, you get 5 minutes and it kicks you off. Right.
Gotcha.
Because I don't know whether you heard our show where I had that experience where a bloke says, "Mate, I've booked it." I go, "What?" Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, that's why I would walk away. So there's no biffer.
And now, mate, let's talk. You talked about charging. I want to hear about the car. You've had the Model 3 for a couple of years. Put your reviewer's hat on now. What do you like about the car, and what's one thing you'd change or you don't like about the car? Start with what you like.
Okay. The performance.
Okay. So you've
so 0 to 100. Yeah. 0 to 100 matters. Oh, sorry, Trevor. I disagree with you.
All right, Nick.
0 to 100 doesn't mean it doesn't mean I'm doing 0 to 100 all the time. What it's telling me is the response of the car.
It's there when you need it.
Exactly. So if I want to get in front of someone quickly, or I've got a motto.
Nick, let's face it, mate. You want to blow them off at the lights. You want to go, boom, put your foot down. That's what you want to do.
I've never had a Tesla owner beat me at the lights. Let me tell you that right now.
And a friend of mine's got the later Model 3, and he paid for the $3,000 upgrade, the acceleration boost.
And
you literally can see that. Whoa. Yeah, you can literally feel the front wheels pick up.
Whoa!
Like the bonnet. Yeah.
Wow.
It's anyway.
You could do that. Okay. You love the acceleration and performance. What's one thing you would change, mate? What don't you like?
The turning circle.
Interesting.
Turning circle. You know what? I'm going to say I agree with my Model 3. My Model S, had a rubbish turning circle. Was terrible.
Yeah.
Turning circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cooper's amazing.
Mind you though, because you've got the stalk on the right, I've still got the stalk.
Yeah.
And because it's electric, you can put it in reverse before you stop. So you can just bounce up and down a couple of times and get around. So I've worked my way around it. I just remember when I'm driving a normal automatic, not to change gears while the car's rolling.
Very good. Well, mate, great feedback. Big question, mate. Do you want to go to the EV show on us? We've got free tickets, mate.
Yes,
Do you want to go along to Everything Electric at the Sydney Showground? Which at the time of publication is this weekend. But for you, because we're recording early, it's a little way off. But, mate, we'll give you a free ticket to the EV show. You up for it?
Yeah, I'm up for it. Thank you. I live in Croydon Park, so I'm not far from Olympic Park.
I might even send you two. I mean, I don't know how many I've got.
You got, you got friends, Nick? You can take your friend or your wife, mate.
I'll probably take my son.
Yeah,
I'll probably take my son.
Give him two tickets, mate. 2 tickets for Nick.
Everything Electric, the world's #1 home energy and electric vehicle show, will be on at the Sydney Showground this weekend, March the 7th.
You might even see us there.
March the 7th till March the 9th.
Cool.
And if you haven't got a ticket, there are still some available, and you can get 20% off just by using the promo code 2blokes, TWO Blokes.
Boom.
2 Blokes, use that at the checkout. But Nick, you're going on us, buddy, okay? So we'll make sure we get in touch
thank you very
with how to
much.
get your tickets, buddy. Thanks heaps for getting back in touch, mate. It's really good to hear from you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
No worries at all, mate.
Can I just add,
go on.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
EV chargers, I would say if you want to rank the charging network, Tesla's the top.
Yeah.
I would say EV's behind them.
Yes.
We used to use EV before we got our home charger a lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
mate, I
They're
would
always
say
reliable.
I would say Tesla, EV, and then crickets to the rest.
Yeah. Daylight.
Yeah, I agree.
second.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
There
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
There's the feedback.
Just so you know, Charge Fox, that was Nick, not me. I just agreed
Yes.
with him. All I did was agree with him.
Yeah. All right. That was
Thanks,
Nick.
Nick. Good luck with your Charge Fox account from now on.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not even going to worry with it anymore. Thank you, guys.
Good point. Thanks, Nick.
Okay.
Cheers, buddy. Good on you.
Hey, that was Nick's words, not ours.
Sitting here getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Good times.
on you,
Big thank you to the people at Everything Electric for those tickets. So Sydney callers, I've been trying to get in touch with them to let them know that we can give you a free ticket. But if you haven't been on the show, and the show's on this weekend, use the promo code 2blokes. And here's the thing. Look, I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but the more people that use the promo code, we're saving you money.
Yeah.
B, they look at it and go,
Makes us look
holy
good.
crap, look at the number of people listening to that podcast. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying,
come
folks?
on. Come on.
All right. And I think we made a deal that we'd probably pop down. So we should probably talk about that.
Probably on the Friday.
Yeah,
I'd
we'll
say,
talk
Friday.
about that and put it in the diary because I don't think
Yeah.
we've done that yet.
We'll make plans.
Thanks very much for listening, folks. Great to hear from Brendon at Pickles this week. Fascinating stuff on battery health. Exactly what I wanted to hear, really, about battery health in the secondhand market. And, Stephen, we'll do it all again next week.
I will make time for you.
Oh, thanks, mate. See ya.